We are on week 3 Strong Mom Club series training glutes today in this beautiful gym, Beyond Barbell Gym in Weiser, Idaho. I wanted to get out of the home gym, use some different equipment, little change of scenery today, and go through some glute exercises. So week 3 on my 12-week challenge. I actually am down a whole pound. Yay! So it's been kind of cool to actually achieve a little bit of weight loss during this journey. So I'm excited, feeling a little bit leaner. We're a little tired today. So I want to chat a little bit more about sleep and how important it is, whether you're on a fat loss journey, building muscle, just overall recovery. Typical 8 hours, right, it's a great rule of thumb. It's hard to come by. I mean, I get it. We all wish we could sleep a perfect amount every single night, but again, consistency, what you do most of the time is more important than some of the time. So if most of the time you're striving for those 8 hours, your body needs it for physical muscle recovery, repair, and growth, your connective tissue, your cognitive function, you're gonna make better decisions, you're gonna train harder. When it comes to fat loss, so you have 2 hunger hormones. There's leptin and ghrelin. Leptin levels are higher when you are fully rested. That's going to cause us to feel satiated, energized. Ghrelin is the opposite. When you aren't sleeping good, your ghrelin levels are higher. I like to think of them as gremlin levels, right? You are hungrier, you're tired, you have more cravings. So if you're dieting and fat loss is the goal, you need to be sleeping. So I'm trying to prioritize that as much as possible. Thankfully, our baby is sleeping through the night right now. So let's hope that keeps up. Our first exercise today for glutes is going to be a compound movement, essentially a hip thrust. This is the Booty Builder standing hip thrust machine, which can be a little tricky at first. If your gym has one of these, it is awesome. Highly recommend. But the concept is the same as a hip thrust. We really want to make sure we're working from the feet up. So I am in a public gym today. I have my shoes on. So I'm wearing my Noble trainers. These I've found to be a really good training shoe for leg day, because you could really push and engage through your feet. So that's, again, we want to work through that kinetic chain from the floor up, through the glutes, pushing through the toes, ankles, all the way up through the hips. So for this one, we want the pad just about on our hips, just as we would a hip thrust, except we are just going to stand and think about keeping your gaze forward and tucking the pelvis to where you're really using those hip flexors at the top and giving those glutes a good squeeze. Slow and inhale on the lowering until you bottom out. Stand and exhale through to the top. So the most important thing is you're letting your feet control the weight, and you're not arching your back. So you're thinking about controlling that weight on the way down and then pushing up to stand and tuck and squeeze. Typically when I'm writing training programs, I like to start the workout with the bigger compound movements. So a compound exercise is just working multiple muscle groups. So we're targeting glutes, but we're also working our quads and our hamstrings, right? Lower body muscles. So this is one of those bigger compound exercise. This is also a, quote, shortened glute exercise, which means our glutes are getting the most load when they're in that shortened position in the hip thrust. So we're starting with a shortened compound exercise. About to hit our last set. Next exercise, compound exercise, lengthened glute exercise, the pendulum squat. These are brutal. I'm literally gonna start without any weight on, just to kind of assess how heavy the machine is. The trick with these is because we are targeting glutes, I am gonna put my feet up higher. And this one does have like different angles for the bottom plate. So I'm gonna play around with it a little bit, figure out a good foot positioning, since again, I'm very small, very short, so that I can try to get the best angle on my glutes. So a lot of times when you're working with machines, you have to work with your body mechanics. Some people are really tall, really long legs. They're gonna need to set the machine up differently to try to hit and target those different angles and different muscle groups. So it's okay if you have to play around with the machine a little bit. Like, you don't look dumb. You're just trying to hit those muscle groups efficiently. All right, now we're moving on to some accessory work, which means we're just targeting these glute muscles right here. So, cable glute kickback, very common exercise, very common to see these done incorrectly. So I'm gonna give you some tips. Upper body positioning, we want just a slight, almost like 45-degree hinge forward. You wanna think like your upper body's in a plank. So we want this to be really strong, really supported. Your stabilized leg is gonna have all your weight on there. Sometimes people will kick and they'll open up. We wanna keep these hips parallel. Another thing is we don't want to arch the lumbar spine, so we wanna keep that pelvis tucked under. Now the knee, the hips, these are all connected. So if you can keep pushing through the ankle, that's gonna ensure you're pushing through these muscles, and you don't have to kick as high as you can go. If anything, if you stay right here, this shorter range of motion is gonna keep all that tension right here on the glutes, which is where we want it. Okay, next glute exercise is another shortened glute exercise. We're targeting the abductors, so these outer glutes outside of your hip bones here. And just this lovely abduction machine. So what I like to do is hinge a little bit forward. Again, that way you're not using your hips too much. It's a little more glute action here. So sometimes it's, depending on the machine, I'll even hold on to this to help support. Make sure you're light enough. Every machine resistance-wise is a little bit different. So I'm gonna go a little lighter so I can get that full range of motion here. And I like to think about squeezing from like your booty scrunch where your leggings make that V. Squeeze from there. We want to squeeze from the center, kind of like before we use our spine as that center point. Same thing. So in the past, I've done where I'm focusing too much on the outer edge of my hips right here, that I'm not actually using these muscles to help drive that movement. Another thing is these foam blocks are amazing to help increase your range of motion. So if you are petite like I am, you can actually put these foam blocks in between, and it helps just give you a little bit more to push up against. And already I'm feeling that so much more in my glutes versus my hip flexors. These are another good one too. I like to add little pulses at the end of my set, just kind of burn it out. All right, we're gonna throw in 2 calf exercises on our glute days. Again, it's accessory work here. Do not neglect the calves. They do, I mean, one, they're gonna help aid in your strength and actual just mechanics. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So we want nice strong calves, but they also work the entire back of your legs, and I personally feel like I get a lot of engagement like on the bottom of my glutes when I'm doing calves. So we're starting with a standing calf raise. Biggest thing is you do want to keep a soft bend in your knees. You never want to lock them completely out. But we are going to go all the way down with the heels as low as you can go. And then starting from the bottom of your heel, you're going to squeeze up, 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 all the way up into your tippy toes. And again, your glutes should be flexed when you are at the top because you're pushing so hard through your toes. So I like to throw calves in on glute days because again, they're kind of by way working your glutes as well. Another thing is on a standing, to target a little bit more glutes in the calf exercises is you can do a slight hinge forward. If your gym has an actual donkey calf raise machine, this is kind of simulating that same thing. Okay, wrapping up today with the seated calf raise. Calves are very simple, you guys. There's not much to them. We're just gonna prop up on the toes. We're gonna go all the way down, and we're just gonna point those toes all the way up. On these, typically you can go a little bit heavier because you're seated and you're just isolating, and calves are one of those. I typically hit about 15 to 20 reps. So a little bit higher rep exercise just because they are such a small muscle group. You can't go crazy in weight, but we're just gonna rep these out. All right, that wraps up today's session, glutes and calves. I am not gonna do cardio today because I got to get myself home, feed the baby, get my protein in. So thanks for joining today's session, and we'll be back again next week.